The palace was calm for the first time in weeks. The battle was over, and peace had returned, at least for now. Queen Valara stood on her balcony, looking out over the city as the twin suns rose. The golden light bathed the tall spires and crystal, towers casting long shadows that seemed to promise a new beginning. Beside her, Dr. Ethan Carter felt the weight of what they had survived. The alliance between humans and Zalari had been tested by illness, hatred, and war, but it had held. More than that, it had grown stronger. In the days after the coup attempt, the Queen called her people together. She spoke not just to her loyal subjects, but to those who had doubted her. "We have faced darkness and fear," she said, her voice clear and steady. "But we are stronger because we have chosen to embrace change. Humans and Zalari together can build a future that no enemy can destroy." Her words were met with silence at first. Then, slowly, applause began to rise. It spread through the crowd like wildfire. Among them, Ethan saw faces filled with hope, faces that had once shown only suspicion. Lysara, now fully recovered, stood at the Queen's side. Her eyes were bright, her posture confident. She was no longer the sick child who needed saving. She was a young leader, ready to take her place. She turned to Ethan and smiled. "Thank you for everything." Ethan nodded. "You were the true strength. I only helped you see it." Life in the palace began to change. Humans and Zalari worked together in new ways. Scientists shared knowledge. Soldiers trained side by side. Even the city's people began to mingle, breaking old barriers. Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. His mission had started as a simple effort to save a life, but had become something much greater, a chance to change the galaxy itself. One afternoon, Ethan walked through the palace gardens with Lysara. The air was filled with the scent of alien. Flowers and strange birds sang softly in the trees. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Lysara asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "Sometimes. But now I have a new home here. With you." Lysara smiled warmly. "And I have a new friend, someone who showed me what hope really means." But peace was fragile. A message arrived from a distant star system. An old enemy of the Zalari Empire was preparing to strike. They had watched the recent events and saw weakness. Queen Valara gathered her council again. "We must be ready," she said. "The future we build will not come without sacrifice." Ethan and Lysara listened closely. They knew the battle for the Empire's soul was far from over. In the following weeks, preparations began. Humans and Zalari worked side by side, developing new defenses and sharing strategies. Ethan led a team combining human technology with Zalari science to create powerful new weapons and shields. Lysara trained with the palace guards, learning the art of leadership and combat. Together, they prepared for what might come. One night, under the light of the twin moons, Ethan stood on the palace walls and looked out into space. The stars shone bright and cold. He thought of Earth, of the journey that had brought him here, and of the daughter of the alien queen who needed him. His mission was no longer just about survival. It was about hope, unity, and the future. And he was ready. After the successful procedure, the palace was filled with a cautious optimism. Lysara's strength was returning, her eyes bright and curious once more. The queen's hope had been restored, but so had the hatred of those who feared change. Doctor Ethan Carter knew his work was only beginning. The cure was a breakthrough, but the real challenge was how to protect Lysara and the fragile alliance he had helped build. The palace halls buzzed with whispers. Many Zalari nobles still saw Ethan as an outsider, an intruder who threatened their traditions. But some began to see the value in human traits: creativity, resilience, and the willingness to take risks. Queen Valara called a meeting of her trusted advisors and generals. Ethan was invited as a symbol of this new alliance. "We have faced great danger," Valara said, her voice steady and strong. "But we have also seen the strength of unity. Humans have shown us new hope, and we will embrace it." The room was filled with mixed reactions. Some nodded in agreement, others scowled. With distrust, Ethan stood quietly watching. He knew winning their trust would not be easy. In the days that followed, Ethan worked closely with the Zalari scientists to develop ways to protect Lysera from future attacks and to strengthen her health. They combined human genetics and Zalari technology, creating devices that could shield her cells from harmful radiation. It was a delicate balance, but progress was steady. Lysera was eager to learn, asking Ethan questions about Earth, about humans, and about science. "Why do humans never give up?" she asked one afternoon. Ethan smiled. "Because we have to. We don't have the power of an empire or advanced technology. We survive by being clever, by adapting, and by fighting for what we believe in." Lysera's eyes shone. "I want to be like that." But danger was never far away. The extremists, frustrated and desperate, planned a coup to overthrow Queen Valara and take control of the empire. They believed that a strong leader would reject humans and return to old ways. One night, as the twin suns set behind the Crystal Mountains, the coup began. The palace was attacked by a group of elite soldiers, loyal to the extremists. Alarms blared, and the halls filled with the sounds of battle. Ethan was in the lab when the first explosion shook the building. He rushed to find Lysera and the Queen. He found Lysera surrounded by guards, frightened but determined. "We must protect her," Ethan said firmly. Together they fought through the chaos, using a mix of human tactics and Zalari strength. Ethan's quick thinking helped the defenders gain ground. Queen Valara commanded the loyal forces, leading with fierce courage. She refused to surrender her throne or her vision of a united empire. The fighting was brutal. The extremists had numbers and weapons, but the defenders had something more, a new sense of purpose. Ethan realized that this battle was not just for power. It was for the future of the Zalari people and their place in the galaxy. In the heat of battle, Ethan's human ingenuity turned the tide. He hacked into the palace's defense systems, reprogramming turrets and security drones to fight alongside the loyalists. The palace's advanced technology, combined with human creativity, became a powerful weapon. Slowly, the extremists were pushed back. After hours of fighting, the palace was secured. The extremists were captured or fled into the wilderness. Valara stood among her people, her voice strong but calm. "This attack showed us our weaknesses, but also our strengths. We must grow beyond fear. We must embrace the future." Her words were met with cheers and tears. In the quiet that followed, Ethan and Valara spoke privately. "You saved us all," she said, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Your people's courage has changed the course of history." Ethan smiled. "We all have something to learn from each other. Humans fight with heart, and you fight with honor. Together we are stronger." Valara nodded. "We will build a new empire, a stronger one with humans and Zalari united." Lysera, now stronger and healthier, looked toward the future with hope. She had survived a deadly illness, a palace filled with danger, and a war for her mother's throne. She was ready to lead, and Ethan was ready to stand beside her. The Zalari palace was alive with tension. Though Lysera's condition was improving, the threat against Dr. Ethan Carter was far from over. Extremists who hated the idea of a human inside their sacred halls were growing bolder. They whispered in shadows, plotting to end what they saw as a dangerous alliance. Ethan knew his time was limited. Every day he worked tirelessly to understand the illness that held Lysera captive. He studied her cells, tested new treatments, and pushed the limits of both human and Zalari science. One morning, as sunlight filtered through the palace's crystal windows, Ethan noticed something strange. Lysara's cells, once weak and breaking down, began to show signs of something new, a resistance he had not expected. He quickly called Valara to his lab. "Look at this," Ethan said, showing her the readings. "Her cells are adapting. They are fighting back against the radiation." Valara's eyes brightened with hope. "How is this possible?" Ethan smiled cautiously. "It's your daughter's natural strength, combined with a small treatment I gave her. The human genes mixed with Zalari biology seem to be working together." The Queen's voice was filled with wonder. "So, humans are stronger than we thought." Ethan nodded. "It seems your people and mine are more connected than we realized. But their success brought danger. The extremists, angry and desperate, struck again. One night, as Ethan worked late in the lab, a sudden alarm rang through the palace. Guards rushed in, finding Ethan surrounded by a group of armed attackers. The fight was fierce. Ethan's heart pounded as blaster bolts flashed past him. The guards fought bravely, but the attackers were skilled and determined. In the chaos, Ethan ducked behind a lab table, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than an attack on him. It was an attack on hope. The Queen arrived quickly, commanding her guards with fierce authority. Her presence rallied the defenders and the attackers were driven back. After the battle, Valara turned to Ethan, her face pale but strong. "They want you gone," she said. "But I will protect you. Lysara needs you alive." Ethan swallowed, his fear. This was no longer just about medicine. It was about survival. The next days were tense. The palace tightened security, and Ethan was never far from the Queen's protection. But he refused to be afraid. He continued his work, determined to find a cure. During a private meeting with the Queen, Ethan shared his latest theory. "The radiation that attacks Lysara's cells is unique," he explained. "It changes the structure of her DNA in a way that disrupts normal healing." Valara listened carefully. "Can you reverse it?" "I believe so," Ethan said. "If we can find a way to shield her cells and help them repair faster, we can stop the damage. But it will require a risky procedure." The Queen nodded without hesitation. "Do whatever it takes." While preparations began, Ethan spent more time with Lysara. She was growing stronger, but the illness still drained her energy. One afternoon, as Ethan sat beside her bed, Lysara looked up. "Tell me about Earth," she said softly. "I want to understand the world that saved me." Ethan smiled. "Earth is beautiful but complicated. We have many problems, but we also have hope. We fight hard for what we believe in." Lysara's eyes sparkled. "I want to live like that, to fight for my people." "You will," Ethan assured her. "You are stronger than you know." Their friendship deepened, a bond of trust and respect that crossed species and culture, but the extremists were not finished. One night, a traitor within the palace tried to sabotage Ethan's work. A key experiment was ruined and critical samples were stolen. Ethan was furious but careful. He knew the enemies were close. He reported the incident to Valara. "We will find the traitor," she promised. "No one will stop us." Ethan realized the fight was not just outside the palace walls, it was inside them too. As the risky procedure approached, Ethan and the Queen prepared for what could be the turning point. In the operating chamber, strange machines hummed, combining human medical tools with Zalari technology. Lysara lay on the table, her breathing steady but weak. Ethan's hands were steady as he began the procedure, guided by his knowledge and the alien devices. The process was long and difficult. The chamber was filled with tension. Outside, guards waited anxiously, Hours later, the machines quieted. Ethan stepped back, exhausted but hopeful. Valara approached Lysara's side, holding her hand gently. "Is she safe?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "The treatment worked. Her cells are repairing. She will recover." Tears of relief shone in the Queen's eyes. "Thank you, human." The success sent shockwaves through the palace. Even some of the Queen's harshest critics began to see humans in a new light. Ethan's courage and skill had changed the game, but the extremists would not give up so easily. They planned their next move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. The palace was cold and silent in the early morning light. Dr. Ethan Carter woke to the soft hum of alien machines monitoring Lysara's condition. For the first time in days, Lysara had opened her eyes and smiled weakly when Ethan entered the room. Ethan's heart lifted. Despite the palace's alien grandeur and the tension in the halls, this small moment gave him hope. Lysara's illness was strange and dangerous, but she was still fighting. Outside the palace walls, the Zelari Empire was watching. The news that a human was inside the Queen's most private chambers spread quickly. Whispers filled the streets and courts. Many saw Ethan as a curiosity, some as a threat. The Zelari people were proud and fierce. They believed their race was superior. The idea that a human, someone from a planet they often called weak, could help the Queen's daughter made some furious. In the royal council room, advisors gathered. They spoke in low voices, their expressions cold. "She's risking everything," one said. "Bringing a human here inside the palace, it's dangerous." Another replied, "If the Queen's daughter dies, she will lose her throne. Maybe this human is a distraction." The Queen's decision to bring Ethan was bold, but it was born from desperation. She trusted him because she saw what others did not, a spark of hope. And now Ethan was beginning to understand the depth of that trust. Ethan spent his days working alongside the Zelari scientists, studying Lysara's cells and the strange cosmic radiation affecting her DNA. The more he learned, the clearer it became that this illness was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. "Our technology is powerful," Ethan told Valara one afternoon, "but it cannot fix what is broken at a genetic level. The radiation has changed her cells in a way we don't fully understand." Valara's eyes never left him. "Then what can be done?" Ethan thought carefully. "Humans have a unique biology. We adapt quickly to new environments. Some of our genes help resist damage from radiation. If we can isolate those genes, maybe we can develop a treatment." Valara nodded slowly. "Your species is more valuable than I thought." That small statement shocked Ethan. It was rare for the Zelari to praise humans openly, but not everyone in the palace agreed. Late one night, Ethan was walking through a quiet hallway when he overheard voices. Two guards spoke in harsh tones. "The Queen trusts that human too much," one said. "If Lysara recovers because of him, what will that mean for us? For the purity of the Empire?" The other guard laughed bitterly. "Humans are weak. This is a mistake. We should remove him before it's too late." Ethan's heart pounded. He knew he was in danger, not from Lysara's illness, but from those who wanted to protect old ways. When he returned to his quarters, Valara was waiting. "You heard them," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "I'm not sure they want me here." Valara's face hardened. "They fear change. They fear what humans represent. But my daughter's life is more important than their fear." She paused, then added, "You must be careful, Ethan. You are a symbol now, not just a scientist." Days passed, and Ethan worked tirelessly. Using samples from Lysara and his knowledge of human genetics, he began to develop a potential treatment. It was risky, but it was their best hope. Meanwhile, Ethan spent more time with Lysara. Though weak, she was intelligent and curious about Earth and its people. "Why did your people help others?" she asked one evening, her voice soft. Ethan smiled. Humans believe in hope. We fight to survive, but we also fight to protect each other. That's what makes us strong. Lysara's eyes brightened. Maybe that is why you are here. Their connection grew, crossing the barriers of species and culture. Ethan saw the daughter the Queen fought for, a young woman ready to live, to lead, and to change her world. But the palace was not peaceful. One evening, a violent storm hit the capital city. The sky darkened and powerful winds shook the palace walls. It was more than a natural storm. It was a warning. During the storm, Ethan was nearly attacked by a group of masked assassins. Guards rushed in just in time to save him, fighting off the attackers with fierce loyalty to the Queen. After the attack, Valara stood beside Ethan, her voice cold with anger. This is war. The extremists will not stop until you are gone. Ethan swallowed hard. He had come here to heal, not fight, but now he realized that his presence was a battle in itself, a fight for the future of the Zalari Empire. The Queen held a council meeting the next day. Her voice echoed through the grand hall as she spoke to her advisors and generals. We face enemies inside and outside our walls, Valara said, but we will not lose. Lysara will live, and the Empire will grow stronger with new allies. She turned to Ethan. You have shown us what humans can do. You will stay and help us. The council murmured, some with anger, some with hope. But the Queen's word was law. Ethan understood the weight of his role. He was no longer just a scientist. He was part of a fragile alliance that could change the galaxy. In the following days, Ethan worked with the best minds of the Zalari Empire. Together, they tested treatments, combined human genetics with Zalari technology, and slowly, Lysara's condition began to improve. The Queen visited more often, her face softening with each sign of progress. She confided in Ethan about her fears, not just for her daughter, but for her people. Our empire is proud, but it can be stubborn, she said one evening. Change is difficult, but I believe Lysara's survival depends on it. Ethan nodded. Sometimes strength is found in unity, not isolation. The Queen smiled. You teach me as much as I teach you. Dr. Ethan Carter had never believed he would be famous across the galaxy. He was just a simple scientist, a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. His work was important, but mostly it stayed quiet, buried in research labs on Earth. Ethan loved his work, but he never expected to meet aliens face to face, let alone be called to an alien empire's throne room. It all began on a regular morning at the Interstellar Science Conference on Earth's moon base. Scientists from many planets gathered to share discoveries and discuss new ideas. Ethan had just finished a presentation about a small alien plant species that might help in medicine. He was tired but happy. Suddenly, an urgent message appeared on his communication device. Dr. Carter, you are requested immediately at the diplomatic chamber, the message read, signed by the Galactic Council. Ethan frowned. The Galactic Council was the highest authority in the galaxy. Their requests were rarely personal or direct. He wondered what could be so important. Without delay, Ethan went to the diplomatic chamber. When he entered, the room fell silent. He saw an unusual group of beings waiting for him. But one figure stood out, an alien queen. She was tall, with smooth silver skin that shimmered like stars, and eyes that glowed softly blue. Her long hair floated as if underwater, and she wore a crown that seemed to pulse with energy. Ethan's breath caught. This was no ordinary alien. This was the Zalari Queen, ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. The Zalari were known as fierce warriors and conquerors. Stories said they crushed planets without mercy. Yet, here she was, looking at him with a strange mix of hope and fear. I am Queen Valara of the Zalari Empire, she said in a voice both calm and commanding. Dr. Carter, I need your help. Ethan blinked. Help? From me? Yes, she nodded. My daughter is ill. The best doctors in my empire cannot cure her. You are our last hope. Ethan's mind raced. Why would the Zalari, known for their pride and strength, come to a human? Humans were considered weak and unimportant by many alien races. Yet the Queen's eyes showed real desperation. Please, she continued, come with me to our world. Your knowledge of biology might be the key to saving her. Ethan felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was beyond anything he had imagined. To travel to an alien empire, to meet its queen and help her daughter, it was like a dream or a nightmare, but the scientist inside him took control. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I accept, Ethan said after a pause. The queen smiled faintly, a shadow of relief passing over her face. Thank you, Dr. Carter. We leave at once. The journey to the Zalari homeworld was unlike anything Ethan had ever experienced. Their ship was huge and sleek, built with technology far beyond human understanding. As they flew through space, Ethan observed the Queen quietly. She spoke little, but when she did, her voice was firm and thoughtful. Why me? Ethan finally asked during the long trip. There are thousands of scientists across the galaxy. Valara looked at him. Because your species has a unique trait, adaptability. Humans survive in harsh conditions. Your biology is flexible. We believe that is the key. Ethan nodded slowly. He had read about how humans adapted on Earth, surviving deserts, freezing cold, and diseases. Maybe that was what made the Queen trust him. When the ship entered the orbit of the Zalari homeworld, Ethan saw a world of strange beauty. Towering. Cities glowed with colors he had never seen. The sky had two suns, casting a golden light over crystal mountains and vast oceans. The ship landed in the capital city. Guards dressed in shining armor escorted Ethan and the Queen through massive halls filled with alien technology and art. Everywhere Ethan looked, he felt the weight of history and power. Finally, they arrived at the palace, a towering structure, made of smooth white stone and glowing blue energy. Inside, Ethan met the Queen's daughter, Lysara. Lysara was unlike anyone Ethan had met. She was tall and graceful, with silver skin like her mother, but softer, like moonlight. Her eyes were closed, and she lay on a high bed surrounded by strange machines. Valara's voice was gentle as she introduced her daughter. This is Lysara. She is my only child. Her illness grows worse every day. Ethan moved closer, examining Lysara's skin and breathing. He felt a deep sympathy. Lysara looked peaceful but fragile. What do you know about her illness? Ethan asked. The symptoms started suddenly, Valara explained. Weakness, strange pain, and loss of energy. Our healers can only slow it, not cure it. Ethan nodded. I need to run some tests. I will need samples of blood and tissue. The Queen agreed, and Ethan began his work. Using a mixture of human devices and alien technology, he carefully studied Lysara's condition. Hours passed, and Ethan found something unusual. The illness was linked to a rare cosmic radiation that interfered with her DNA. It was unlike anything he had seen before. This radiation is attacking her cells in a way that causes rapid decay, Ethan explained to Valara. But humans might have a natural resistance to it. Valara's eyes shone with hope. Can you help her? Ethan smiled. I will try. While Ethan worked, he learned more about the Zalari Empire. It was a place of strict rules and honor. Many in the court did not trust humans. Some whispered that the Queen's decision was foolish and dangerous. One night, a group of guards warned Ethan to be careful. Not everyone wants you here, one said quietly. Some believe the Zalari should remain pure, without human influence. Ethan realized his task was not just scientific, it was political, but he was determined to save Lysara. Days passed, and Ethan's bond with Lysara grew. Though she was weak, she smiled when he spoke, and he saw a spark of hope in her eyes. The queen visited often, standing silently by the bedside, her strong exterior hiding a mother's worry. One evening, Valara spoke softly to Ethan. "You have given us something more than science. You have given us hope. For that, I am grateful." Ethan looked at her. "I'm just a scientist, but I believe humans can make a difference." Valara's gaze was steady. "You already have." The first part of the story ends with Ethan realizing that this mission was bigger than he thought. He was not just fighting disease, he was fighting fear and prejudice to show that humanity could be more than what the galaxy expected. The Queen's sudden words had indeed left him speechless, but now he was ready to rise to the challenge.